Greetings, greetings, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And now, if you're hearing the sound of my voice, if you're seeing the disclaimer, just drop a 441 in the chat. This is a test, just to make sure that you're hearing the sound of my voice. Drop 441 in the chat. All right. Yep. Awesome. Great. So let's have a look, see what transpired last week, and then we'll see what's going on. Graham, if I make you a co-host, if you let people in, please, if you don't mind. Susan, I'll make you a co-host as well, please. If you don't mind letting people in, I'll appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, this was from the week before when we had the NFP and had that big shoot up to the upside here. Just make sure we're sharing the right screen. There we go. There we go. Right. Yeah. So we could see here we had that trade set up from NFP way back when. That was on the 1st of August. And this goal has just keep shooting up. Now we had some significant news with regard to the US that is causing weakness in the US and causing this US dollar to rise. Now on Friday, it was quite a lot of up and down. But if you notice here, right, with our mood swing tool, if you don't have the mood swing tool, I tell you, you're doing yourself an injustice. So let's go back from even Tuesday. We had mood swing level formed here, and look at what happened. Price has taken off. Let me just give this a different color. Price has come back down into that area, pushed up, right? And then this mood swing level created again. Price tapped it, pushed up, and look at what will happen on Friday. Price has just been dancing on this mood swing level once, twice, 3 times, 4 times to the upside. So I mean, the reality is that I'm expecting price to continue pushing. We'll see what's happening in the news this week to ascertain how we should play the US. I'm sorry, how we should play the US economy and in turn gold, right? So this week ahead, they said investors will remain focused on trade tensions. Okay, so there's a lot of trade tensions between Mr. Orange Man, right? Everybody knows who we're talking about, Mr. Trump, and the rest of the world, right? So watching for any progress towards the US-China agreement before the 12th deadline. The 12th deadline is in 2 days' time on Tuesday. So Tuesday, we could expect some sparks in the market, right? So we had to just be very aware of that. On Tuesday, things could really be shaken up, right? So say if there's no agreement by the deadline, which is the 12th, tariffs exceeding 100% could be imposed, right? Geopolitical developments will also be in the spotlight, where President Trump and Putin are expected to meet. So they are going to meet if you're following the news, they are going to meet in Alaska for a meeting to see whether they could come to an agreement as to whether they are as to whether Mr. Putin could pull out from Ukraine, right? Mr. Trump is trying to broker a deal to stop the war in Ukraine. All right. So, US key release indicators such as the CPI, PPI, retail sales, and the primary readings for the Michigan consumer sentiment as well this week. So that's going to be huge, right? That's going to be huge again this week, where we see the CPI is always big. So keep an eye on that. That has been the theme for the last how many years? And that's why we saw interest rates pushing up and up. And now we're seeing interest rates starting to come down. Britain has just dropped their interest rates, right? So we're in a cutting cycle, right? The interest rates have cycles. So we're in a cutting cycle at the moment. Right, global attention will turn to China's industrial production, retail sales, etc. The Eurozone GDP and Germany's ZEW economic sentiment. Right, Japan's preliminary second quarter GDP, inflation data. Okay, well we don't deal with India and Brazil, and the UK GDP, labor market, industrial production, and trade figures. And the Royal Bank of Australia will also announce their monetary policy decisions, something to do with their interest rates, of course. So, lots to digest here. And I will drop this into, in fact, yeah, I'll do a screenshot of this and I'll drop it into the main group so that we know what we need to focus on for this coming week. All right. Let's see how some of the news had affected the market last week, and how that is going to potentially flow into this week. Right. So some of the main things that happen is this interest rate decision that happened on the 7th of August for the pound. All right. ISM PMI, right? PMI for the US, which was turned out to be negative as well. Let's have a look and see what happened with the pound. Oh, also we looked at this. We had a nice live session on Wednesday, and we looked at this trade setup. It was just about setting up, and we were able to catch this beautiful 192 points to the upside, TP1, TP2. But you could see here that the trade actually continued pushing, right? And if we if we look at it from a risk to reward standpoint, you could see that that is a monster 9-to-1 risk to reward, or 10-to-1 really. Yeah, 9-to-1 risk to reward ratio if you were still in the trade. There we go. Beautiful move. So let's see how that British pound news affected, that interest rate decision affected the pound last week. GDP USD. And see how, that's a very old chart. But what day was that? Let's see. Right, so that was the 7th of August. So the 7th was this Thursday here. All right, so when the interest rate decision came out, right, it's just really just a continuation to the upside. So the reality is that I think that the pound is still riding on that news there at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of a pullback, but if we do, I was looking for some more movements to the upside. So, I mean, we had a beautiful move off of this mood swing level here some days prior. Right here. We had some beautiful move off of this mood swing level to the top. I mean, because the pound is so, gotten so strong, you hardly seen any pullbacks. The US was very weak as well. Um, I mean, I would hope for a pullback to this level before it takes off, but would it pull back? I do not know. And I wouldn't necessarily want to jump in right there. Right. I would want to see some sort of a pullback before a push to the upside, right? So I'm just gonna set an alert on this level right here and leave it for the GBP USD. And also what we had, oh yeah, we had negative news for the US, the PMI. So all those US pairs would have, well, at least if the US is in the base, the quote currency at the second half, then we should have seen all those push into the upside. So AUD USD should have pushed up, NZD USD should have pushed up, GBP USD, Euro USD, gold, right? All pushing to the upside. Okay. Just gonna mark off here as a ultimate take profit target, but it's not a trade setup at the moment. This is one that we're gonna wait on and see whether it pulls back into our level before we give it a push. All right. AUD USD. So these are some levels that we're looking to mark off here. But again, you see they're respecting the mood swing level. You see right here, price pulls back into that level. Right there, price taps into the level right here. Right here on Thursday, price taps into the level here and then pushes up. And then on Friday, we saw, well, Friday was a very sideways moving market, right? But again, mood swing levels coming in to help us out with our entries if you had access, right? NZD, USD. So this was a pretty old setup that we did last week, early last week. Well, in fact, we actually did it the week before. It just triggered last week. And it's pushing, right? It's pushing to the upside. I'm still for it, right? I'm still for this to continue pushing to the upside. See prices actually right at a mood swing level right here. So that's a decent entry level, and I'm looking for that to continue pushing to the upside. Euro USD, haven't looked at that for a little bit, but this euro will be affected by those talks between Putin and Donald Trump come this week. Okay, the euro will be affected by the talks between Donald Trump and Mr. Putin. Now, if we have some positive outcomes from the meeting, then we should expect that the euro could continue to push to the upside. I mean, it has been seeing some recovery if we go on the daily time frame since from February, right? Since February, the euro actually has been trending to the upside. So let's see what that meeting holds for the euro. But yeah, keep your ears on the ground. All right, I want to go back to the pound, GBP, and let's see how the GBP JPY was affected by that pound news last week. Again, that was last week, Thursday. All right, so right here, last week, Thursday, where we could see that the pound had that positive news, and well, the interest rate was changed. And we see, all right, we got to pull back into our fair price level right here, and to the moon, right? GBP, JPY hasn't looked back since. So again, I'm biased for it to continue pushing to the upside. We just have to wait for a decent entry level. We'll have to wait for the market to open to see if it gives us a mood swing level or something that we could tap into, like how I tap back here, right? So this is just a waiting game. What else we have? A GBP, AUD. We haven't looked at GBP AUD for a long time. But again, you see on Tuesday here, GBP AUD had a strong push to the upside. Now, I wouldn't necessarily want to trade GBP AUD because the pound is strong, the AUD is strong. So I expect probably some sideways movement on this one. You could see is very sideways moving from July till right for the past few weeks. Hasn't really gone anywhere. Right, so let's look at the economic calendar for this week coming. These days there's .com UK economic calendar. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so we just choose specific ones. We'll choose the US, we'll choose Japan, we'll choose Euro, we'll choose the pound as well. Australian. Pound here. United Kingdom, New Zealand. Let's see in Euro. All right, Eurozone. All right, so on Monday, there's actually a holiday in Japan. It's called Mountain Day. And on Monday again, okay, let's see the entire week. There we go. Monday again, we have some US news where they're going to be auctioning off. Let's see, what's the auction about? Oh, the treasury bills, right? Okay. So that'll be interesting actually, because there is a correlation between the treasury bills and gold. So we'll keep an eye on that. Then we have retail sales for the pound. Let me see what's important here. So interest rate decision for the Australian. All right, that's going to be important on Tuesday. Right, so there's going to be some opportunities on the pound. I'm sorry, on the Australian on Tuesday for some action, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now, it is expected that it should cut rates, right? Everybody's cutting rates at the moment. So Australia is looking to catch up with that. It's expected that they're going to cut rates from 3.5% to 3.6%. So keep an eye out on that. And then next major news. Now, this is going to be huge, right? Tuesday again, CPI for the US, okay? So expect all those USPS to shake up, expect gold to shake up. So we have to position ourselves to catch something on Tuesday, right? We have opportunities on the Australian, we have opportunities on those US pairs. Wednesday, the PPI, that's going to be interesting as well. And Thursday, GDP for the pound is gonna, so this week is gonna be active. There's a lot going on, right? The pound, the Australian, the Japanese yen, the US dollar. Okay, lots going on. And then of course the Eurozone with all those peace talks that is happening. So we got to be very vigilant this week. Keep our eyes out on the price. Now, let's go back to gold for a second. For the minute, I'm expecting gold to continue pushing up, but when it comes to Tuesday, right, when it comes to Tuesday, then, you know, anything depends on what those CPI levels or CPI figures are, right? Depends on what those CPI figures are, but definitely expecting gold to make some pushes to the upside now, to continue pushing up at least, you know, get to these highs. Right? It's been, and it was yo all of Friday, but notice how it's respecting levels here, on mood swing levels, right? So vigilance is required this week for sure. Right, vigilance is definitely required this week, but there is lots of opportunity for movement in the market. Remember that, you know, sentiment drives the market. The initial sentiments are fear and greed, and then reactions off of what the fundamentals are saying, right? That is what makes this market move. And if there's no sentiment, then other than that, it will just be volume ticking over and liquidity hunting. All right. All right. So we're gonna keep it short and sweet tonight. We're gonna keep an eye out for what's happening, and then we'll post in the trade setups group, right? For those of you who want access to the MOODSWING tool, right? Make sure that you reach out to me, and we'll show you how to get access to the MOODSWING tool so that you can have something in your toolkit, so that you could, you know, trade whenever is required of you. All right. Have a fantastic evening, everyone. Hey, and also I'm big warning of that scammer that tried to, well, he's created a new group mirroring on name and everything. but they're trying to sell some AI bot to people, but it's a total scam, right? It's a total scam. They using my name. Just be vigilant because you've got to look for a verification star. If the verification star is not next to my name, it's somebody else pretending to be me. Okay? If there's a verification star next to my name, that's me. Okay? So be very, very careful. Telegram is just rife for all these scammers. And they'll try to use your good name to create instant trust with people, and then totally just try to scam them. If you're being sold any type of bot and it could only trade crypto, it is a scam. I'm telling you, it is a scam. So be vigilant. All right. Have a fantastic week, everyone, and we will see you on the inside as always. Bye for now.